Oh, friends, I'm so excited. So we have a friend that raises red-footed tortoises, and he's got a bunch of them at the moment, and he has 2 of them that are 1 year old, and he's offered to give them to us. But of course me, I have to make them like a rad house to live in, because if you're gonna come and live with me, you gotta have a rad place. So I've decided to change a portion of the greenhouse out, and I have this garden bed over here that I'm gonna make into a turtle town for them. I've already mapped it out, I've planned out where it's all gonna lay out, and I'm gonna have a portion of the garden bed be where I grow all the lettuce and the things to feed the turtles, and I'm just really excited about this. So without further ado, let's get to building Turtle Town. Okay, after a couple test runs, it's time to run Turtle Town. Let's go. Okay, well, the first sheet for Turtle Town has been cut out. This is like the main section, and then these are a couple other little parts to it. This was a last-minute design decision. I didn't originally have that on there, but I figured that was a whole blank space on the second deck, and why not throw a little design feature? Might have gone a little too deep with it, but maybe we'll fill it with epoxy. We'll see. Next, it's time to run one more sheet, and then we're finished and we'll cut it all out and put it together. All right, well, this first one just didn't really work out, but I did a little bit of some changes, and I just didn't run it all the way through. I just barely skim coated it, so I figure I'll sand this down and I'll be able to pop these pieces out. But I do want to be able to just, boop, like that. That's gonna be the gate. Oh, I'm so happy about this though. All right, let's go cut all these pieces out, sand them down, and get to assembling. Ugh, there's so many tabs, but when I ran one file without the tabs, it was a nightmare. I'm gonna just cut them out with my jigsaw, and then we'll sand them. Then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, all of my pieces are cut out and sanded, but I did realize that one of my walls was like a 1/2 inch too short, so I need to cut 2 more of these 1/2 inch longer, and then we can do some assembling. I do need to cut out these circles. I left these little notches here. I'm gonna use this top ring for like a little planter stitch, and I'm thinking, I hope that it's enough arc, I'm gonna be able to use these pieces for a little bridge. So I will need to cut out some pieces to go in between to connect these. I also need to figure out the layout and actual placement of where all of this goes, so I can make a cut on this backer piece for the gate, because I want the gate to basically open with one of these hexagons so that there's not a cut down the center, and I want it to be kind of seamless so you don't see it. And then I need to also cut one more of these to go on the back side of this so we get some thickness to the gate. All right, hear me out. This is where we're at with the gate so far. Originally, I was just gonna do this situation and then put another one behind it. And then I realized that's not enough to add my hinges. So I ran another one that I'm gonna add to the back of this, which will give my thickness to it. But then I started to think, like, why not really give some dimension and add some layers to it? So I was thinking, go like this, that'll give the first step up. And then I'll do another thing so these sit even a little higher on both sides. That way when you look down at the gate, it'll have kind of an arcing kind of shape to it. This is where we're at. I have all my pieces cut, sanded. Now it's just time to assemble. Okay, now I'm gonna start working on these ramps. I've already got the angle cut. It's a 25 degree, and I have it on both sides so that way when it meets up, it fits just right. I also have the plexi cut for these outside rails that'll keep them nice and safe when cruising up the ramp or cruising down. But these grooves that I cut out, I want to give them a little extra traction. So I have this 1/8 inch dowel that I've cut down, and I'm gonna basically just boop, add them into these little spacers in between, and then the plexi will go nicely right around these outside tracks. I'm just gonna use my Dremel to cut them down and then maybe sand up the edges, because I notice I'm kind of like burning it a little bit. But let's get to cutting the dowels to fit in here so we can give those turtles some traction. Well, those dowels worked out perfectly. I'm like so happy with it. They have a little traction now on this situation. And since I was cutting these all out, I decided to just cut a bunch of the same size so that I can connect these two little arcs together. And now what I'm gonna do is drill a hole on either side, and then I'm just gonna connect it like that. Super cute. And it turned out exactly what I was thinking it would look like. Okay, I'm almost ready to start assembling the turtle house, but first I'm gonna do some little detailing work by adding some epoxy and some pigments in these areas. I'm gonna do a lighter green on this top section and a little bit of a darker green on this outer section. Because this outer section is a little bit lower and I don't want the two colors to mix, I'm gonna tape all of that off first. I'll do my first pour, let it dry, and then we'll do the second one. And I'm doing just a very, very shallow pour so that it just fills in these little voids. Let's get to mixing some epoxy and some pigment and pouring it in this turtle shell. Oh, the two colors look so good. Okay, while we wait for this to dry, let's go ahead and work on finishing some of the bare wood on some of the other pieces. And then once this is fully cured, we'll finish the bare wood on this guy, and then we'll do some assembly. Okay, while we wait for the epoxy to dry, I have some of these pieces laid out that need to get mineral spirited, and then they need to get a finish put on them. I'm gonna be using TotalBoat Lust. I'm also gonna use the special brush Thinner 100 to thin it down just a little bit, making it easier for application, but it's gonna give a nice rich coat to this natural wood, which is what I wanna see. I wanna keep the wood graining, but I wanna make sure that it's sealed and protected because everything's gonna get wet in the greenhouse. So let's get to finishing this wood. Okay, it's time to paint the gate. Because I have 3 different layers, I figured I'd go with 3 different colors and we do a little gradient situation, going from darkest to lightest, and I've already painted a little sample board. Let's paint it and then we'll seal it. Okay, now that all these pieces are fully dried and we have a nice lacquer on the gate portion, it's time to assemble all these stacking pieces. Let's get to gluing. Okay, it's time to start working on this gate. Originally when I designed it, I wasn't gonna do this 3-dimensional thing, but then I love the way that that looks from the top view, and I love the color, but I kind of ran into a little bit of a snag. So originally I was gonna do it like that, where the hinges were right on the center, but because of this, now there's not enough play to open all the way. But if I just basically bring it right to the edge, and we have it open this way, we have enough clearance. Just a little bit of modifications. I would have liked it centered, but ultimately that's what we're gonna get. Yeah, so let's get to putting this gate together. Okay, I think it's finally time, glue up and assembly time. So I have all the pieces laid out. I did a little dry fit and it seems to all fit perfectly. So now let's throw some glue on it, clamp it up, and when I say clamp, I'm gonna use tape, and then we'll let it fully dry and then we'll seal it. Oh, this turned out so good. I'm really happy with it. I actually even put a couple little brad nails in a couple areas just for security. It's been fully sanded. Now it's time to put a nice thick coat of varnish. Let's finish this off. Okay, now that this is all finished with varnish, oh, it feels so smooth too. I gave it 3 coats total, and that Lust Marine Varnish by TotalBoat did the trick. I really want this to be waterproof so that I can like hose off in the greenhouse and not have to worry about the wood getting damaged. So I gave it a nice good coat and oh, it looks good. But now it's time to install the ramps. I'm gonna glue them on, and then I'll probably add a couple little brad nails and maybe even put little supports underneath. But let's see how structurally strong these end up being once I glue them. Let's get these rails on. Okay, it's time to finally assess the pool situation. I found this at Marshall's for $7. I also have this piece that I originally cut out for the top of the Turtletown little house, but it didn't work out because I actually pulled it out prior to running the file, so I wasn't able to cut out the grooves for the plexi, but I don't want this to go to waste. So my thoughts are, I'm gonna do a little deck around this. I'll trace this out, and then I'll give myself a little bit of a border inside so that it sits in, and I'll also do it at a 45-degree angle cut that out, seal this, pop this bad boy in, and then we have a nice little turtle pool situation. So let's make this happen. Okay, now that all of the pieces are ready to be put into place, I gotta prep the garden bed. I'm gonna dig down the soil about 3 inches, lay down a weed barrier, and then I'll put in my cypress wood chips. I'm also gonna put in a little plexi barrier right here that I'm gonna bury down in, that way that they can't crawl underneath the gate. I'll get this all ready and prepped so that we can start planting the lettuce. But let's get this garden bed ready to go. Oh my gosh, it's looking so good, and we don't even have the turtle house in yet. I guess there's nothing left to do but to put it in here. So let's go get the turtle house, put it in its place, put the plexi in, and then we just gotta go pick up our turtles. I love, love, love this gate. Oh, it makes me so happy. Come on in, enjoy some food, or a snack or two. So I've been monitoring the temperature in the greenhouse during the day and during the night, just to keep an average of what the high and the low in the temperature is. I got this seeding mat, as opposed to getting one for a reptile tank, because those usually go under the glass and they're not usually rated for being waterproof, where a seeding mat is able to get wet. It also has the thermostat, so it'll only kick on when it needs to, as far as keeping it to an average temperature. So I'm gonna pull this up and dig that out, and then put this kind of far down below. That way they can still dig in, but it'll just keep that area in there a specific temperature. That way at night, it doesn't ever get too cold for them. The lettuce has definitely gotten a little crazy, but perfect timing because the turtles are here. I'm excited to let them in, and let's see. The walkway you can't even see, so I might just let them in and see if they can munch. If not, I'll trim this up a little. We have some hibiscus flowers that just opened up and closed, so they have snacks ready. It says it's set at 81 degrees. Let's bring them in. Welcome to your new home. Maybe don't start eating the plants in here. I can get you guys are hungry. Let's get you guys over on the other side. Oh, do you smell what's over there? There you go. Well friends, that's Turtle Town. What once was a blank garden bed now has a lush lettuce forest, a fun turtle gate to separate the turtle playground with the house and pool. I had so much fun making this project, but it's actually been more fun getting to know the turtles. After only having them for a few days, it's been really cool to see the difference in personality. The little one with the yellow head is definitely more spunky, likes to go through the door and then out through the window, likes to go on the second deck, swims in the pool, and is always first out to eat. The second one, which is a little larger in the orange head, is a little more mellow, likes to bury himself into the house as deep as possible, is last one to get up to eat, and when it does eat, it basically just wedges itself as far into the lettuce as possible until I can't find them. This has been such a fun project. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. We still need to name our turtle friends, so I'd love to hear in the comments your thoughts on their names. And until next time, friends, when we do a fun build together, have a rad day.